Hello everyone, TLSG here. Today we have a deck that used to be the biggest meme I have ever seen, and slowly but surely it got a couple of additional resources here, it got a little bit of a buff there, and now all of a sudden it is one of the most consistent decks that I play. It's a very almost linear, but Miss Marvel has taken it to the next level. And that is going to be, of course, Cerebro 5. Cerebro 5 has so many different avenues that you can build it, you can tweak it in a few different ways. And Miss Marvel, I think, gives it that certain level of competitive edge so that if you don't have Cerebro, if it gets hit with a Spider Hand, if it gets discarded, you can still find ways to put out a lot of power and find ways to be competitive even without your Cerebro resource. And you may notice that I have two ways to protect against opponent ongoing cards in both Super Scroll and Enchantress. Enchantress, I think, is just a good card in general, especially if you have your Lizard down, but you don't draw something like Luke Cage. You can use Enchantress to take away that negative effect. But Super Scroll, with how many ongoing cards I'm seeing right now, is one of those cards that just offers me that peace of mind. If the opponent just goes over the top and they do two Miss Marvels, they do a Miss Marvel and a Mystique, then I have the comfort of being able to throw down my own Super Scroll and steal back big high cube games. And if you're finding that you either don't like the Super Scroll or it just doesn't really fit your playstyle, you can take it out and lower the curve with either a Titania to go with the 5 power line, or you can go with something like an Echo to protect certain lanes from ongoing cards in general. And so I'm going to keep the deck explanation relatively short, but before we jump over into any games, I'd like to introduce today's video sponsor. Omni Heroes is a heroic fantasy casual strategy RPG that has received recommendations from both Google Play and the App Store. You play as Omni Guardians who are called upon to rescue the captive Valkyries from demons and fight together against the evil that is threatening the world. You can summon over 100 unique heroes, unlock multiple team synergies, and match hundreds of team comps. Omni Heroes offers both casual and relaxed gameplay for those looking to unwind, while also providing enough depth and exploration for players who enjoy strategic challenges. Dominate your battles with 17 unique synergies and over 100 team comps. You're the mastermind to find just the right battle buffs to be able to win. When you're tired or busy, you can let the automated mechanics take over. Drop in whenever you'd like to claim the rewards they've earned for you. You can even use the quick battle feature to quickly blast through battles if you're short on time. Omni Heroes is gearing up for an exciting new season, Ashen Phantom, on November 17th, introducing an exciting new storyline and one of my favorite features, roguelike dungeon gameplay. If you haven't played before, now is the perfect time to jump in. You can scan the QR code or use the link in the description, and you'll be able to claim 2 rounds of 777 free summons and welcome 5 legendary heroes to your roster within the first week while experiencing the game's exciting new season. Let's go ahead and do Medusa mid. We have Cerebro to the left. The Silk is a little bit scary with Miss Marvel, so I want to hold it until we know very specifically which direction we're going to go. Because if it happens to go into the left lane, that could break that left Miss Marvel bonus, and I don't want that to happen. So we have Medusa mid, we have our Spider-Man, the Kitty Pryde, ramping up that Angela, and it's going to be a pretty formidable lane. Luckily, they don't have an Elsa Bloodstone down. I think we can outpower the Collector. I think we can outpower a lot of their cards. We can do Doctor Doom, and then we have almost free reign. I think we probably should have snapped earlier. So if they do Enchantress, they have to decide between either Cerebro or Miss Marvel, depending on which direction they want it to go in. We have the Doctor Doom. If they do have Loki, they're going to get some decent cards, but we should make better use out of them than they do. The Hobgoblin comes down and actually caps out this left lane, which is unfortunate. Very unfortunate. That means we only have the 1 7 power resource over there. And so if we did Spider-Man over there, that breaks Miss Marvel's bonus on this end. We could do this. We have the 3, 4, 6, and then 2. We could do it in this order and not have to worry about breaking Miss Marvel. I don't think they're going to be able to overcome the top of it. The left lane, the Hobgoblin, was a bold call, but it was a good one. They definitely have us over there. I don't think they can come over the top anywhere else because we're underneath that Shang-Chi range. We just have so much power. It's gonna be tough. They would have to do a lot in the right lane to be able to overcome it. So the Nick Fury, good start, helps buff up their Collector quite a bit. They do have a pretty big gap still to make up. the Kitty Pryde, and then the Sentinel. That is not going to do it. We are able to hold it down. I never thought that Cerebro 5 would be a deck that is competitive at a higher level, but it just continues to get pieces that makes it more and more viable. All right, next up we have Arthur. The first location is Asgard, so if we can stack that lane relatively early, we can get some pretty good benefit out of it. If any cards get destroyed, Valley of the Hand is there to resummon them. I think we go Lizard, and then maybe we do a Spider-Man. I'm hesitant on doing the Silk, especially since we just drew Miss Marvel. And so we'll see. We'll see what we end up going with. We always have the Enchantress for the Lizard if we don't draw Luke Cage, and they don't have any other ongoings that we need to look out for. I'm going to go Spider into Eternity range, see if maybe it pops over into Asgard. I'm okay if it doesn't move whatever they have. I think we're okay in that regard. They do have the Cosmo coming down, so now we can't use any kind of on reveal, so like the Enchantress is not going to be effective there. But our Miss Marvel will be. We'll be able to push an extra 5 over there without actually playing, which is fantastic. We have the Luke Cage to protect from the Lizard play. We have a lot of good reach and potential to win this Asgard lane depending on what they drop. They do use a Cyclops, but that is perfectly fine. It looks like they're going with a high evolutionary. We have the Luke Cage to protect against that. We do have a 3 cost over here, so we can't do our Cerebro, even though it would be protected in the Cosmo lane. We can do Medusa, Cerebro, and then next turn we could go Luke Cage to pop these back to where they need to be, and then do a Miles Morales somewhere. Kind of like that, so we're going to go ahead and snap into it. The Medusa is going to give us a lot of reach in Valley of the Hand, and depending on what they go with, we could surprise them with maybe an Enchantress and a Luke Cage. If they go with an ongoing in mid, maybe they go with a Rogue that steals our Miss Marvel, we can counteract it. We'll just see. We'll see what it looks like. And so they go Magic to extend the game. So it's going to be a She-Hulk Infinite style deck, which I think we're okay with. They're aiming on this lane, getting quite a bit of benefit from reducing our cards. So I do still like the idea of the Luke Cage. We have a 2 cost over here, so I want to do 2 over in the right lane. And then we don't have a 4 cost here or here, so we can play it in either location. I think we're going to go ahead and throw it in the left lane, and I think this is where they'll realize that they've lost, is once we drop our Luke Cage, once he pops back to where he needs to be, it's going to be very difficult for them to overcome. Even if they have the 29 power coming down on next turn, we just have so much power over them already. Victory. And so we do get the quick and easy retreat. All right, next up we have Helios. The first location being Atlantis, which we're not going to take advantage of that location. But they are rank, I think, 200. We go against several people that are around that range. I think the highest we went against recently was global top 30. They have the Zabu, so that is going to be a potential issue. The Death's Domain looks relatively scary, but we do have Spider-Man that can potentially bounce over there. We have Silk, we have Doctor Doom. We have a lot of ways to reach that location. I think for next turn, I want to go Spider-Man here. I could move their Zabu out with the Spider-Man, but I don't think that's something that we need to do or we need to focus on. So I'm guessing they probably have Captain Marvel, which I want to save Enchantress for that middle location. Maybe not, with the Quinjet and the Collector. Interesting. So we can go Miss Marvel here. If we think 10 power is going to be enough, I think it should be fine. I'm going to go Miss Marvel. We're not going to utilize the cheap Miles Morales, even though we have it. I want to try to win this left lane or this middle lane. If they get something really, really big, oh no, they're just going to let the cards get destroyed. That's fine. All right, so we do outpower them in mid. They lose a couple of their cards. They do get our, I think, Miles Morales, because he was the cheapest at that point. Let's go ahead and move our Silk. Next turn, maybe it ends up being an Enchantress plus Miles in mid. We'll see. We'll see. We may take out our own Miss Marvel depending on what they play and where it goes. They did get our cheap Miles Morales, unfortunately. And so they have the Loki come down, so they get more of our cards. They could potentially have our Enchantress. They could potentially have our Doctor Doom. And it's a little bit cheaper for them to use both of them, which is unfortunate. Let's go with something like Doctor Doom. It's a little bit more here, here, and here, depending on where they go. If they have a Doctor Doom of their own, I think we still outscale them. But a Doctor Doom plus a Miles Morales, maybe we don't. It's not something that I'm confident enough to snap into. If they snapped, I would consider retreating. I don't know. We'll see. They go left lane, which I didn't account for the Atlantis location. We lose the Miss Marvel bonus, but we still have mid for now, which is good. The Cerebro comes down, but it gets destroyed in Death's Domain. We have the Doombot that's over in the right lane, so we still outscale the Zabu. Depending on where Silk bounces to, it is going to barely put us back to a tie. Had it went mid, we would have won. Going over to the left lost them the Lizard bonus, and so it resulted in a tie. That was a very, very close finisher. All right, next up we have Danilo BC. The first location, unfortunately, is Savage Land, so a Miss Marvel is now out of the question over there. We could always stack Miss Marvel in the left lane and have it reinforce mid, but that's not quite as efficient. And so Soulstone comes down, which is a little bit scary. Unless we get Luke Cage down, which we do have, we could do Luke Cage. We have the Cerebro, so as long as we get a couple of 5 power cards, we have the Doctor Doom as well. So I think on turn 5 is going to be a Cerebro plus Luke Cage. Turn 6 would be Doctor Doom. Anything leading up to that point is just kind of pushing power where we can. And so depending on what we get, I think we're in a pretty decent spot now. Cerebro is now gone, which makes it that much worse. They do end up losing their Khazar, so we know that they're not going to be destroying this lane. It just comes down to, can we win with just 12 power? Maybe. It's just not as comfortable by any means. I'm gonna go ahead and go Silk in Sokovia, and then we'll see. It may be that we don't do Doctor Doom on the last turn, and instead we can go Miss Marvel in the left lane. That way it reinforces mid. Or we can do Medusa plus Luke Cage for now. They have Mobius down, so we don't really go with any kind of discount anyways, besides, I guess, Miles Morales. They go with Super Scroll, trying to, yes, force us into capping out that left lane, which we're okay with for now. We could pull over their Mobius. Oh, no, Mobius is no longer 2, he's 3. In that case, we can't pull over their card. So instead, I think I'm going to go Polaris in the right lane. It's not huge. It does help make sure that they don't get our Miss Marvel. We're not doing any kind of big ongoings, which is the only little bit of benefit that we have. They have Blue Marvel come down. No Enchantress in our hand. We could do Super Scroll. Would Super Scroll be better for us than going Doctor Doom? Doctor Doom would be 5, 5, and 5. Super Scroll would be a little bit less than I think Doctor Doom is definitely the play, especially with having Luke Cage down. We do end up getting the retreat. Not a super exciting one. We lost Cerebro, but with Cerebro 5, you're able to win in a lot of different ways. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Ooh, next up we have Red 3 again. Top 300 player. We were able to beat them last time, right? I don't remember what they were running. I haven't been playing frequently enough to remember those off the top of my head. We have Hellfire Club, so that's something. We do have both Cerebro, Miss Marvel. We have Enchantress to stop any of their ongoings. And then we have Doctor Doom. Were they playing the High Evolutionary deck? Is that what they were running? We'll see. Shadow King is an interesting one. We do have Silk down now, so we have to be kind of cautious of where it goes for the Miss Marvel. Cerebro now hurts with Necrotia unless we end up getting Luke Cage. If we get Luke Cage, then Cerebro's fine. I think we are going to park Cerebro in mid, though. That way it's a little bit easier for us to do maybe a Miss Marvel with the Shadow King, though. With the Shadow King, are they potentially doing like a Rogue deck, an Enchantress deck? I don't want our Cerebro in mid just in case they have that in their arsenal. Ooh, Adam Warrior? Or Adam Warlock? 1, super nice Adam Warlock variant. But 2, they're running an Adam Warlock deck? Very interesting. What if we did Polaris to pull any of these 3 cards, and then oh, we can't do Spider-Man over into the left lane. So in that case, I think I do Polaris here to try to grab whichever we need of these 2. And then Miles Morales over here. We do have Miss Marvel. Right now, the Dracula is going to be an interesting one. We do have Miss Marvel. I don't know if we end up going with it, especially since we do have our Cerebro down on the board, but we'll see. I think it really depends on if we end up getting Luke Cage or not. Luke Cage could alter this quite a bit. And now we did pull the Shadow King away from Adam Warlock, so now we no longer have to worry about them drawing for 3 free turns. Just the one. Just the one is fine. I'm going to go Miss Marvel, and then I think a Doctor Doom brings it home. I'm not going to snap because I do want to see this one play out. I'm interested to see what they're going to have discarded with Dracula. That seems like a random pickup with the Nico and the Shadow King. This is definitely not a deck that like I recognize. And so we'll see. We'll see what it ends up turning out to be. We don't have a 2-cost here or here, which is going to be a pretty big benefit. If they go with Rogue, they could win. Enchantress would still be a little bit tough. So we're going to go Doctor Doom, hope that they don't have, I don't know, if this is an Goliath maybe? No, Kang. Okay. Super strange deck. Red 3 is definitely cooking something. They had Black Cat get discarded. We don't know what gets discarded by the Dracula, but I know that Black Cat comes out of their hand. Very interesting cook by Red 3. This is definitely not what they were running last time. Now the question always becomes, after Kang, do you change your move? Or do you do the same thing again? And you know, I'm feeling like they can't overcome what we have. I'm going to go ahead and do Doctor Doom. We're going to do Doctor Doom and then see. I don't think they can overcome how much we have. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. The Calling Wing discards Black Cat, which would have been discarded naturally. The Strong Guy comes down. They are going to get the Strong Guy bonus. They have the She-Hulk come down. No. Okay, well. And that was a guarantee, too. Super interesting, Red. As much as I hate to end it on a loss, we are going to go ahead and end the video there. I think that was a cool enough game that I'm okay showcasing it, because that was a guaranteed Infinite pool. The Calling Wing had no random chance of discarding anything other than the Black Cat, so it was a guaranteed just power dump on that last turn, which was phenomenal to see. Had this not been Necrotia, we would have still been able to overcome the Infinite. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.